So Bitcoin and crypto is absolutely nuking right now. What is causing this market crash? What to expect? How low can we go? We'll go ahead and take a look at what happened this week to potentially be a cause of this. So make sure if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and click that button right now below. And it's a white button. It used to be red, but now it's white. Go ahead and click it. It does support the channel. It allows more people to see my videos. So make sure that you do that. I appreciate your support. And with that said as well, I'll also be looking to draw for a $100 Bitcoin winner. I'll do that tomorrow and I'll announce that for anybody who actually subscribed and who has commented over the past week's video. So make sure to check that out. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get to the market. Bitcoin, the weekly close was over the past 24 hours. And what do you notice? I've actually put the black line right here, the support line. For the first time since November, we've been below or closed below around $93,000. Now we closed the weekly at $80,000. That is a significant change in market structure as far as the weekly and the daily goes. If you want to go ahead and zoom in on the daily, what you see here is that you saw 92 to 93K be the significant area to watch, right? That was where Bitcoin was bouncing over the past few months. And as far as that goes, we did break below quite a bit to 78K. But after we got that bounce, we rejected at the same level around 93, 94K again. And that's typically bearish to me. So whenever I see a structure break, price go down, come back up and bounce, and then reject that area again, this 93, 94K area, and then continue to break down, that seems like there's a bit of a change in trend. And so until that trend changes, I'm not necessarily looking to be overly bullish at the moment, but not too bearish either. Let's go ahead and look and check out maybe where we could hit at. So what this reminds me of, and so if you want to go ahead and rewind and head back to around 2020, back at the old Bitcoin chart, we'll go ahead and do that. Here we go. And I already have drawn it out here for you. So what you noticed was around February to the high of April, of course, Bitcoin bounced and ranged back and forth above 40, 45, 47K. And eventually we had that whole market pullback, broke below there, continued to break down below 45K, and then it nuked all the way down to eventually sub 30K. We did see around a 50 something percent pullback from the highs at 60 something K back in 2020. And as the market pulled back, we saw the market structure break and it continued down. And so if you want to go ahead and really, we see a similar type of vibe here because we did hit all-time highs again for Bitcoin. It has been bouncing around for weeks to months in the same area. And then we've broken down from there. So how low do I expect to go? Again, on the daily chart, the bad news is that we've broken back below that 200 daily EMA and SMA. I've got that right there. On the weekly, we've got a while until we get to those really key important levels there for as far as moving averages on the really high time frames. We're close to the 50-week moving average. Of course, could potentially see a bounce there, but what I'm looking for, again, is in the green box between 68K to 73K as a potential bounce area, if not before that. So the 50 EMA on the weekly is around 76K. I think that would also be an area to take a look for. But really anywhere in this area, if the stock market can bounce, certainly I don't think Bitcoin is going to go below 69, 70K. Okay, at least not at this moment. There's a lot of people who like to predict things. They like to say Bitcoin's going to 50K. There's no reason to do that because until Bitcoin actually breaks below the next level key area, 70K, I'm not even looking at 50K. It's a waste of time. Stop wasting your time and trying to forecast, predict things way out in the future. It likely never goes as low as what people think it will. So again, a lot of people looking at this 70K level, they want that. That's why I think in the end, if the stock market does have a nice bounce, really regardless, anywhere in the mid 70Ks is a great buy opportunity for Bitcoin. Now, on the stock market, we're not going to really look at this, but the stock market is down below the 200 moving average on the daily as well. Now, we have not seen that since, I think, 2023, October. So it's been a year and a half since it's been below that. And so what do moving averages do? A lot of times they're like indicators, but they help show trends. And they tend to be an area where price tends to balance at, people tend to buy. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But in the end, we're breaking below that 200 moving average on the daily. Now we're currently at a key level on the macro on the daily that has acted as resistance before and support before around 5650. And so that's where we're currently sitting at on the stock market. But a real reason to understand Bitcoin's pullback is, as I've said before many times, is that it's highly correlated to the stock market now. Over the years, more funds have gotten in. Banks are now into Bitcoin. And because of that, we see a major correlation, less trading on the weekend, less volatility, less movement, choppy sideways. But bottom line, the stock market is going down. Bitcoin is being pulled down with it. And what can we expect? The whole reason for this, why people are fearful at the current moment, is because what the Federal Reserve said this past week. We know that if we can get some rate cuts, that likely the market will bounce. More money will be able to get into these risk assets. And so what Fed Chair Powell stresses patience on rate cuts, policy uncertainty. We do not need to be in a hurry. So what happened was Fed Chair Powell gave a speech this week. And basically what he said was he emphasized that the U.S. economy is in a solid position. It remains in a solid position with a strong labor market. Now, even though we saw private and public jobs not hit their marks for this past month, still people were hired, even though they didn't hit what was expected. It still emphasized that the Fed thinks that we have a strong labor market. Inflation continues to move closer to the Federal Reserve's 2% target. So even if it's short-term pain in the stock market, the Fed is going to continue to push forward to that 2%, even if it means short-term pain. They don't really care about stocks as much. They don't care about Bitcoin or crypto. But as we know, Bitcoin and crypto is highly correlated to everything that is going on now. And so despite recent developments, the central bank is in no hurry to adjust interest rates and prefers to wait for greater clarity on the economic outlook. And so basically what this means is that FOMC, when the Fed meets and decides about rate cuts here in a couple of weeks on March 18th, 19th, they're not going to cut rates. If they do by any means, for some reason, cut rates, because it's not expected that they do at the moment, the market would totally bounce so hard. Okay. But that is not expected yet. Now, the next two FOMC meetings are in May and in June. That's when it's expected that the Federal Reserve will potentially cut rates and we'll get some relief from markets. Now, can the market bounce prior to that? Of course it can. We've been going down, like I said, as far as the stock market goes, and Bitcoin's highly correlated, it's been going down since mid-February. We're almost a month, just a straight downtrend. And we haven't seen that happen too many times in the stocks over the past couple of years, right? It's happened a few times, but this is definitely hitting the market hard. Bitcoin has seen that. Altcoins have seen that specifically. Again, for the daily to bounce, reject, and come back down. I certainly think that we could see some more pain in the market. I think as far as that goes, eventually everything tends to have a bounce as more people get short, as more people get off sides and they're late to short and they're late to sell. You don't want to be late as far as that goes, or you're going to feel the pain. So potential short squeeze coming up. Bottom line, I'm not buying yet until I think that there is a clear bounce. One thing that you can do as well is if you're waiting for a clear indicator, some people would rather pay more for their Bitcoin than the dollar cost average. They want to wait for certainty because maybe they're fearful that price drops down to 50K. They'll wait until around 92, 93K when that breaks again to buy. And that's totally fine. That's one way that people will buy Bitcoin and invest over long term. Some people just buy dips, they dollar cost average over time. For me personally, if we do see Bitcoin down in the 70 to 75K range, I think that's a fantastic opportunity. As we've seen in the past, Bitcoin tends to break down or pull back around 30, maybe max 40% During a lot of uptrends and bull markets, I don't even necessarily consider this a bull market anymore. We'll get into that, I think, in another video. The market has changed, right? We used to have these cyclical markets of every 4 years. It does this every 2 years bull, 1 or 2 years and bear. And it's changing. It's changing because the market in general is changing with more adoption. So we'll eventually get into that because you have to change the way you think about Bitcoin in the cycles. For instance, again, if you're a long-term holder for Bitcoin, certainly I think that it could hit 500K to $1 million one day. So for me, whether it's 80K, 75K, 85K, it doesn't matter. It is a good opportunity to buy. But bottom line, 30 to 40% pullback at one time is usually what we've seen Bitcoin do in the markets. And that would be, again, around 70 to 75K. It's totally a good opportunity for me personally to invest in some more Bitcoin. But the big thing about this is that knowing that we have broken the market structure on both the daily and the weekly, what does that mean? It means that honestly, we could continue to have a little bit more of a pullback in the short term, especially with the uncertainty in the markets, as Fed Chair Powell has stated that there is uncertainty with the current new administration, with policy changes on trade, immigration, fiscal policy, and regulation. And because of the uncertainty around these policy changes and tariffs and that, you're seeing the market pull back because the market does not like uncertainty. And because of that, we're seeing a pullback in both stocks, in Bitcoin, and in crypto. And so until there's some more clarity in that, as even Powell has stated, it's likely we may not get that relief that we want. More or less some chop up and down, bounces here and there. Good for traders, for investors. It's just going to drive you nuts probably over the next month or two. But I am hopeful that we see some change coming up, maybe some more clarity on the policy, and so that we can see the stocks as well as crypto have a nice bounce. For me, bottom line, I think that this is currently in a downtrend, even if it's short term, because we've broken market structure. Looking at 70 to 75K is some key areas to look at to buy. But of course, every day changes, and that's why I'm making videos every day. So if you've not yet subscribed, you want to make sure to do so. Make sure to click the button below, subscribe, and I'll give more and more information because there's a lot of good stuff that I want to talk about this coming week with where I think Bitcoin could go in the coming years. And so we'll go ahead and break that down in some more videos. But the important thing is to know is that we've got uncertainty in the market. That has created some fearfulness, but stay encouraged because, of course, it's always darkest before dawn. At the moment, things look doom and gloom. But again, that's when people want to tend to buy. You don't want to buy when you have euphoria, when you have weeks of green candles. That's when you want to take profit. That's when you want to take some off the table, especially if you're trading. So with that said, this is where we're at right now. We're at 80K. I'm expecting some bounces soon, but I'm not going to quite dive in there yet until I see the stock market also have a nice bounce, show some strength. Otherwise, I will have bids down at 70 to 75K to add to Bitcoin and then go from there. So with that said, this is Rager Crypto. And as far as that goes, look forward to seeing you guys soon. You guys trade safe. Have a great day.